Hi, this is Megan Jennifer with howtoplayviolinonline.com. Today's video is going to cover how to tune your violin. I know that's something that a lot of people have trouble figuring out in the very beginning, how to actually tune it so that you can play it. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you 3 different ways of how to tune your violin. The first thing you're going to need is a tuner. You can use a chromatic tuner that you can buy from any music store, or if you have a smartphone, you can download a tuner app for free. I have an Android phone, and the tuner that I use is called G-String Free. This tuner allows you to tune to all the strings on the instrument. It's originally pitched for a guitar, but it will also work for a violin. There are 2 options. You can play the sound that you want to hear and match your instrument to that sound, or you can play the sound and have the needle show you exactly where you're supposed to be. You can also do it for every string on the instrument. The first string that we tune is the A string. If you're looking at your instrument head on, it's this string here. This string. The one right next to the thinnest string, that is the A string. That's the one we always start with. What you want to do with your tuner app, you can either select the note A and then make the sound, match your instrument to that sound, or you can select the note A and say tune A. And what will happen is, if you can see that needle is moving back and forth, that needle, when the instrument is in tune, it will make an orange display and the needle will sit straight up and down in the middle. So now we're going to demonstrate how to tune using this tool, just the A string, during the first way. The first way is by holding the violin kind of on your lap and plucking to get the instrument in tune. When you pluck the violin to tune it, you want to kind of position it so that it's firmly against your midsection or your lap if you're sitting down. And you always want to have a hand free, and the opposite hand that's not free will be used to pluck the strings. As you can hear, the violin is very out of tune. So we're going to start with the A. I know I need to turn this peg, so I'm going to use my left hand to pluck the A. Now the A right now is a little bit too low. I don't have fine tuners here on my violin, but if you have fine tuners, if it's not that far out of tune, you can use your fine tuners to turn it tighter to make it higher, or turn it looser to make it lower. If you hear that the note is too low, you want to make it tighter to make it higher. If you hear that the note is too high, you want to make it looser to make it lower. And turn to the right, that's higher, turn to the left, that's lower. Now, I'm going to be using a peg since I don't have fine tuners on my other strings. So I'm going to use my left hand to pluck, and while it's still sounding, I'm going to turn the peg. But I turn the peg very carefully. I gently want to loosen it a little bit by pulling it towards myself. And then I'm going to push in and turn just a tad. When you tune using the pegs, you only need to turn it a little bit. If you turn it too much, you run the risk of breaking the peg. So it's too low. I'm looking at my needle. Push in, turn a little. Still too low. Push in, turn a little. Now I'm too high, so I'm going to have to come back the other way. Turn a little. Turn a little. I'm very close. Now here's a secret. If you're very, very, very close and you don't want to use the peg and you can't use your fine tuners, to make it higher, you're going to push this part of the string right by the nut inside the peg box. Can you see me doing that? Okay. We're almost at 440 hertz. Close enough for now, okay? So that was an example showing you how to tune by plucking. You will follow the same example going to the D string next, and then the G string. So really quickly, I'm going to do the D string, plucking with the A string. Too low, loosen it up. You hear how they start to match? Good. Now you can double check with your tuner to make sure it's okay. I'm going to do G string. G string was already in tune. Now I'm going to do E string. E, I can use a fine tuner. A little bit higher. Good. And you check everywhere else. One thing that I meant to mention before we started was that you always want to check your bridge to make sure it's in alignment with your fingerboard. If it's shifted to the left or to the right, you'll hear that the outer strings may be extremely high or extremely low. Before you start messing with the pegs or the fine tuners, check your bridge to make sure it's in alignment. If it's out of alignment, all you do is take your fingers, grip very tightly on the bridge, and shift it over, just enough so that it moves and pops in place. You also want to check to make sure that the angle of the bridge is not leaning forward or backward. You want to make sure that the feet are properly seated against the belly of the instrument. So now I'm going to show you how to tune with the bow. The next section is going to show you how to tune the instrument on your shoulder. But I'm making an assumption here. This is for people who currently know how to place their violin properly on the shoulder. I'll show you a little bit, but I won't go into too much detail here. So if you don't know how to put the instrument on your shoulder, you might want to use the first method or the method that I'm going to show right after this. Once you get the instrument on your shoulder, again you want to start with the A string. So using your tuner, you're going to play A, drawing a straight line across the instrument. I'm very out of tune. So I'm going to hold the instrument with my finger, and I'm going to push in with the peg and turn. Just a little. Almost there. Too high. Now, I'm going to pull my string because it's too high, and I don't want the peg to keep moving. Almost there. So now I'm in tune. And if you noticed, I kept the bow moving the whole time. So now I'm going to tune using this interval of a fifth, the A and the D string and the D and the G string. It really sounds like two strings fighting when they're out of tune, but when they're in tune, it sounds like a bright sunny day. Let's listen to A and D, and you're going to place the bow on both strings. Imagine there's a string beneath these two strings that you're trying to play on, so you're going to push down a little bit more. You're going to use a little bit more weight to bow on both strings at the same time. Listen. If you can hear it, the D is high. The strings are clashing, so I need to make the D a little bit lower. Too low. Sounds sonorous. D and G. Fortunately, those two are in tune. Now I'm going to do A and E. Since I have a fine tuner, I can bring my arm underneath the instrument like this and put the bow on top. That's the placement. Arm goes underneath, find your fine tuner, and now put your bow on the string. And bow. Now I'm going to do A and E together. Too low. Too high. Just right. And you can double check your strings with your tuner to make sure that they're all in tune. Go back again. Check all of them a second time. Now I'm going to show you with another violin that has fine tuners how to tune on your lap using the bow. Sitting in a regular chair, you're going to just hold the bow. It doesn't have to be a perfect bow hold. You just put the fingers around the bow. So anybody can do this. And then with the instrument sitting on your lap, the fine tuners near your lap, you're going to place the bow on the A string, right between the bridge and the fingerboard, right in the middle, right over top of the F holes. You're just going to lay it there. You don't have to have the best bow hold. Using your tuner, you're going to play the A. Slowly move the bow back and forth. It's too low. So I'm going to turn it to the right. to make it a little higher. Then you can do the other string by itself, using your tuner. Now that doesn't have to sound perfect, but you definitely want to make sure you're not making those sounds, ouch, or too close to the bridge or too close to the fingerboard. You want to stay right in the middle, okay? And draw it slowly. Slowly make a straight line. And whatever you do, don't hold the bow tightly, because if you do that, look what happens. It just bounces. So hold it loosely. Let it rest on the string and gently move it back and forth. Okay? And then if you want to be fancy, you can do 2 strings at once. Too high. Good. Too low. Good. There we go. Double check all your strings. And that's it. So, there you have it. Those are the 3 ways that you can use to tune your violin. I hope that was helpful. So, go out and give it a try. If you break a string, don't worry about it. We all have done it. Just take your time, do it carefully, and follow the steps that you saw in this video. For more tips and tricks, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, or to learn how to play the violin, come on over and see me at howtoplayviolinonline.com. This has been Megan Jennifer. See you around.